My name is Victoria Beebe, and I work for the Los Altos Hills County Fire District. Tonight, we're going to be having an awesome presentation by Julie Atwood. This presentation is going to be on disaster preparedness for pets, horses, and backyard livestock in fire-safe communities. I didn't want to butcher that word. So without further ado, I'm going to have Julie go ahead and take it away. Thanks for being with us, Julie.
Thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Andrea. I want to start out by saying it's just really an honor to be speaking with your community, and I want to thank the Town of Los Altos Hills Fire District and Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council for inviting me to work with all of you and help all of you. And I'm really excited that this is being recorded because we all put a lot of energy into it and everyone's busy, and this is going to allow us to reach so many more people. So welcome to those of you who are joining us, and I hope that you'll share this information back to your neighborhoods, your groups, your dog walking or cat sitting or trail riding or horse showing organizations, whatever you're into. A little further into this, I'll probably ask, when we have a few more people joining, how many people in the group do have equines? And I say equines, Victoria, this is why. I love long-eared equines. I love donkeys and burros, and I have a mule in my family. So,
wow.
So that's why we use the term equines, because we want to include all of them. So for those of you who are listening, if anybody out there has donkeys or burros or a mule, I like you even more. So a couple of housekeeping things. I'm hoping that we'll have time for some questions and answers. If you have a question that you think of while I'm speaking, Victoria, do people have an opportunity to type in a chat, or should we just take them live later on?
Yes, they can do it in the Q&A. And if they can't, if that doesn't work for some reason, we'll just do live later on.
Okay, great. Going to be really casual. So I'm going to try to blast through. We have a lot of slides. We have a lot to talk about because, as I like to say when I give these kinds of presentations, everyone else who presents about emergency and disaster preparedness is dealing with just one species, right? The humans, us. But when I come on, I have to take care of all kinds of species. And so it takes longer. We have more to talk about. All the different species of animals that we all have in our lives, in our homes, in our backyards, have their own distinct needs, quirks, personalities, and challenges when it comes to preparing them and their environment and us for disasters. So some of my slides have a lot on them. We are going to make this recording available afterward. And if any of you would like our slide deck to make a presentation to your community, you would be welcome to it. So I'm not going to read to you everything that's on my slides. You guys can read them. Also, I have very poor vision. So if I stumble a little bit on my slides, please forgive me. And you probably figured out by now there's a group of us. So I have my sidekick, Shiloh, who's up in Dundee, Oregon, and she's advancing my slides for me. And we have Victoria, who is hosting this from Los Altos Hills Fire District, right? So there's a whole bunch of us here. Yeah. So let's move on to the next slide. I'm trying to touch my iPad and move it. So, hey, folks, this screen is all about me. And something that I experienced back in 2017. But I'm going to take you back a little bit further to 2012 and 2013, which is when I started the Halter Project. And I started the Halter Project for two reasons. One is that it was really hard to get information about how to keep our animals safe during and after disasters, even right down to simple things like, what should I put in my horse's ready kit, or what should I put in my cat's go kit, or how much would I need, and what do I need if we have an earthquake and I can't go anywhere and I'm here with my animal? So that was one part of it. The other part of it was that I had a number of veterinarian friends who were experts in what's called large animal technical rescue. Some of you might know what that is. for those who don't, it's basically applying search and rescue, rope rescue skills and fire service heavy rescue skills and technology to horses, mules, cattle, and other large animals, including animals in zoos like giraffes. I really wanted to start a large animal technical rescue team in my area. And so those two things eventually converged, and the Halter Project was born in 2013. We launched it with a series of events called Home and Ranch Readiness Day. In 2016, Shiloh and I, basically Halter Project is just the two of us. We look big, but we are small. We were invited to the White House, where we received 2 FEMA individual and community preparedness awards, which was a really amazing experience. It opened a lot of doors for us and created many, many, many connections in the larger national landscape of disaster preparedness and emergency and disaster response. So move forward from 2016 to 2017. I live in Sonoma Valley. I live in the town of Glen Ellen at the foot of the Mayacama Mountains. So as you look at the screen, that photo of a couple of my gorgeous geldings in the upper right, that is the end of September 2017. If you look immediately to the right of that photo, you'll see a couple of maps. That is the night of October 8th, 2017, and that is the Nuns Fire. So that big orange blob on the right, that is the perimeter of the fire. That little yellow spot in the center of it is my home and my ranch. And the slides on the left to show you what eventually happened. The Nuns Fire rolled into the Tubbs Fire, and eventually there was a complex of fires up here in the North Bay that I think resulted in 13 fires total. And most of you, know a little bit or maybe more about what happened. We had 7 horses, 1 mule, 4 cats, several dogs, and 5 people, including my husband, who was sound asleep in his recliner. And the fire was on us before anyone knew there was a fire. I was the second 911 call. All our escape routes, all our evacuation routes, all the roads were immediately cut off. Our property was one of the places where the winds chopped at over 80 miles an hour, and those 80-mile-an-hour winds were throwing burning stuff at us. So we had the opportunity to experience the term and the concept of firebrands and embercast up close and personal. It's not something you want to do, believe me. So between the time that I saw there was a fire and the time that we got all of our animals to a safe place on our ranch, 7 minutes transpired. We got everybody to a safe place in 7 minutes. The place that we went to on the ranch was not our plan A, it wasn't our plan B, it was our plan C, which was actually our earthquake plan. So down there in the lower left, that is the view of the pasture that you see in the upper right, 1 week and a few hours later. The photo in the center is all our equines in our covered arena, and that dark orange glow you see in the background is their pastures burning. And then over there in the lower right, that's our barn cat, Jax, who actually loved to get in his carrier. He loved to walk on a harness. And I was just really lucky. The cats that I had at that time were pretty much on board with me. But I was able to get the people and the animals and all this stuff to a safe place in the midst of really horrendous chaos because I had been learning how to do this. I had been teaching others how to do it, how to think about it, how to live in a state of situational awareness, especially during active weather periods. And I had practiced. I talked about it. I talked through our plans with our staff and my husband and my animals. And even though it was really scary and the situation was extremely dynamic, we were able to do it. And I share this story with you because you can do it too. And I want to help you help your community be able to keep their animals safe during and after natural disasters, but also during everyday emergencies. So now on with the show. Silo, we can bring on our next slide. So you always have to have more than one. Why do we have a lady kind of fit back in this picture? I'm not sure anybody joining us is old enough to remember those commercials, but back in the day, we saw this all the time on TV. You can't eat just one. You can't have just one. And so that is my reminder to everyone that you need more than one of everything when it comes to disaster prep. You need more than one plan. You need more than one way to get information and alerts. You need more than one place to go, and you need more than one way to get there, meaning not just routes, but transportation. And you sure as heck need help. So you're going to need people to help you, help your animals when stuff gets really scary. Next slide. Hello. There we go. So that means having a plan for everything. As I said a couple of minutes ago, on the night of the fire in our area, our plan A and our plan B were dead in the water before we even had a chance to think, because every possible route was cut off immediately. So we went immediately to our earthquake plan. We had a safe meetup place on our ranch. Most of us do have earthquake plans because we live in earthquake country, and that worked really well for us because our plan was to go to our covered arena, which had pavement on two sides and vineyard on two sides. It's a steel arena. It's got sand footing, and there pretty much is nothing around it that could really catch fire in a serious way. We could all be together with the animals and check in and make sure that we were all safe. So you need to have a plan for everything that can happen. While this is a fire safe event, we all know that we need to be ready for everything. I am a search, and I also teach search, as does Victoria. And I got a tip that we might have some other search joining us in this group. So I think that we do have people who really understand preparedness and what I'm saying. But when you take this and you apply it to the animals, it has, there's an even bigger picture. So you need a plan for evacuation, and we need plans for sheltering in place. We need a plan for long power outages, and we need a plan for when we're just not able to take care of our animals because maybe we tripped and fell down the steps taking out the garbage, or we've got the flu. So stuff happens. And if you have really good plans for your animals in disasters, you're going to be set when something a little bit less terrifying happens. Next slide. So this is just a really good graphic. You need a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. And how do you decide? Are you going to evacuate? Are you going to shelter in place? Sometimes you have options. Sometimes you might not. After an earthquake, we're not going to have an option. We are going to be sheltered in place. And we hope that we'll be sheltered in place, but there will not be fires breaking out around us. But there very likely could be, meaning an earthquake scenario turns into a fire scenario. So we've got to have a lot of plans. They need to be as solid as we can make them. We need to think about them. We need to share those plans with other people, and we need to practice them. So we're going to help you walk through some of the points that will help you teach other people how to make these decisions. Next. Hello. This is my friend Anne. Anne is a long distance endurance rider, one of the most prepared people on the planet. She's also a serious camper. And several years ago, oh, by the way, she lives in Bolinas. So she lives not only in a place that can burn or fall off the edge of the Pacific coast into the ocean, but where we have regular tsunami alerts. And we practice for tsunamis. So Anne is really well prepared. And when we had a disaster drill a couple of seasons ago, Anne showed up with her binder that goes everywhere with her. else has a copy of that at home. And C is our poster quill. Okay. So you need a written plan for everything. You need to put this in writing. Your plan should include all of your emergency contacts, your photos, ID, all of your animal registration information, your vet records, prescription. Don't forget current dosage info because you won't remember it. And an advanced care directive along with your animal insurance if you have it. So where are you going to get a form to create your written plan? We have a fix for that. We're going to show you right now. Next slide. Where's the Jeopardy music when I need it? So we at the Halter Project, what we do is we provide free information, free resources, free presentations like this one to any individual, any community-based organization, any agency, anybody, anywhere who wants information to help keep animals and their people safe during emergencies and disasters. So that QR, the code that you're looking at right there, will take you to a place on our website called Firesafe Animals. And that's actually a big Dropbox folder, and in it you will find emergency plan workbooks for all different demographics: seniors, people with barns and ranches, people who live in town that have a number of different kinds of animals, people who are Spanish speakers and readers. We also have information for firefighters to help them be safe if they're in an incident where large animals are involved, and more. So you can get these workbooks when we're done with this presentation. We're going to show these resources again, and I hope you will all immediately go to our website, download a workbook. If you would like a batch of them, we can print some and send them to you. We would be happy to come down and bring some to you and make another presentation to your group. We want to get these into your hands. So you don't need to do anything but download and print a workbook. The workbooks contain everything you need to think about, take action on, and the forms to fill out. So we're going to show you one of those in the next slide. So over there on the right, that is a copy, or that's a page from our Animal Emergency Action Plan document. On the flip side of that form, so same piece of paper, backside, is an Animal Advanced Care Directive. So you've got two awesome documents on one piece of paper. All you need to do is just make multiple copies once you've filled them out. Those two pieces of paper are essentially the emergency plans for your animals. If you have a lot of different animals, you're probably going to need to make a couple of copies and fill those out. What are you going to do with those once you have them filled out? Well, one copy stays with your important document. So that's your grab and go binder or portable file or whatever you have that has your insurance, your household inventory, your family scrapbook, whatever is important to you. So all of your important stuff, and you're going to add your animal action plan to it. One copy should stay electronically. So wherever it is that you have everything else that's important to you in the virtual world, you want to keep a copy of this there as well. And then you want to make sure you have a copy somewhere in your home where helpers or first responders can find it. So that might be a corner of the kitchen counter, or maybe it's in the laundry room, or maybe you print these out and you stick them in a Ziploc bag and you write a big note that says animal emergency info, and you put that to your refrigerator. Doesn't matter where, as long as it's easy to find. And last but definitely not least, you need to give copies to all the people you designate to help you be your helpers and take care of your animals if you are not able to. So this is really important. And I'm assuming that probably everyone listening, because I know you're all firesafe, firewise, CERT, all kinds of prepared people, you probably have your own personal and family emergency action plan, right? And you probably have advanced medical care directives, right? For yourself. Everything you do for yourself you need to do for your animals. And that's a really important piece of information that I'd like you to hold on to and share when you are trying to help others with this kind of preparedness. When you're talking to your communities about animal disaster prep, I feel that one of the most impactful messages we can share is just that. Everything we do for ourselves, we need to do for our animals. And preparedness, as we know, starts with us, the humans. Because if we're not safe, we can't keep anyone else safe. You know, it's the oxygen mask speech, right? So really important. And again, these documents are part of the workbooks that we make available. If we were together in the same room, you'd all have multiple workbooks to look through and decide which ones work best for you and your groups. But since we're doing this virtually, you have to pretend, and immediately afterwards you can go take a look at it online and hopefully print it out. So let's see what's next. There we go. Top tips. I like top tips. If anybody has to bookie out right after this, at least you'll go away with this. So make situational awareness part of your daily life. Be signed up for all local alerts. Know how to get the information. Know your evacuation zones, oral. You need to know the evacuation zones for every place you, your family, and your animals might be. A lot of us have equines that do not live where we live, and that is something really important to keep in mind. Your dog might be boarded in another town or another county, so things like that. Know all the zones that are relevant to your life. Team up. Team up with neighbors, team up with people outside your evacuation zone, as well as people inside your evacuation zone, to make that all important neighborhood group. We're going to talk a lot about buddy networks and buddy systems later. Plan for early evac and make a plan for sheltering in place. You can't do one without the other. Review your plans with your neighbors and your buddy network. This is super, super important. Review your plan with your barn mates. If you're a rider, keep your horse at a stable. With your staff, with your volunteers. If you have a nonprofit, review the plans for the animals with everyone. So, to sum this up, you want to practice, you want to update your plan, you want to refresh your plan, and repeat all of the above. So moving on. You need music. Mr. Rogers, hopefully we have people in our audience who remember Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is our icon for your safety net, your neighborhood connections. It really is all about the neighborhood. I know we have people here who are probably spreading that word to your groups. Why is this important when it comes to animal disaster preparedness? Because your neighbors, the people closest to you, are the people who need to get to know your animals. You need to get to know their animals. Everybody needs to get to know each other. And you need to practice together. You need to have a network of places to go, not just one. And these could be places where you're going to be able to go stay with your animals, places you may have to board your animals. You're going to need a network that includes ways to get there, meaning not just know the routes in and out of your neighborhood, but have some transportation options lined up as well. Keep these contacts up to date. You can do it today, but if somebody moves or the phone number changes or life changes, then you can't count on them anymore. So you need to make sure that all that information is refreshed and updated on a regular basis. Can you get this? It's great if it's all on your phone until your phone dies or you're without cell reception. So again, have more than one way to keep all of your important information. And do you have resources who will help your animals if you are not able to? So again, Mr. Rogers makes us smile, And it really is such a great reminder of one of the fundamentals, which is know your neighbors, know their animals, and have your neighbors get to know you and your animals. Take care of each other when bad things happen. Next. I can tell you what next is if it's taking its time. So just who are these people and how do you find them? This is one of the most frequently asked questions I get. How do I make a network? Especially if you live in a place where your neighbor might be 20 acres away, or even more if you live in a place like I live. A lot of people live in communities where their neighbors are not right next door. You may not live in a community of town. You still need to get to know each other, but you can expand that network as long as people can get to you and your animals quickly, to include groups like riding clubs, as I said earlier, dog walking groups, people that you work with. You may not know these people well. That's not as important as the fact that you know each other's animals. So just something to think about. Again, neighbors and friends in the same evacuation zone, but also people who live out of the area, who have homes or Airbnbs or connections with pet-friendly hotels and motels that you can go to, people who can be your points of contact, people who will be included in your animal emergency contacts as the people who will be called by responders if you are not able to speak for your pet. And caregivers. So many people in our communities have pets, but they have caregivers who take care of them, the people. And it's really important for us to try to transfer this knowledge to the human caregivers, many of whom have been very, very, very traumatized in recent incidents, and the fact that they really didn't have a clue how to take care of their clients' pets. So it's really critical for us to think about those people, address their needs, and give them information in ways that they can really use it. And we have a workbook for them. So let's keep moving. I should say that the first part of this presentation focuses on pets, but also includes information that applies to all animals. The last third of this presentation is going to be focused pretty much exclusively on our equines and our large animals. So if you have to leave early for some reason and you don't have large animals, you won't miss anything. If you have big guys, big critters, then hang on, we're going to talk about them in detail. So travel and animal sitters. If you are traveling with your animals, you need an emergency action plan. And we actually have a little travel packet. It's just a few pages. It's a great checklist that leads you through all the things you need to take into consideration while you're en route, when you get to where you're going. What would you do if suddenly you find yourself in an evacuation situation in an area you're unfamiliar with? And that has actually happened to me while I was employed with the UC Davis Veterinary Emergency Response Team in 2021 at the Dixie Fire. We house served. We were in 11 vacation rentals in just under 8 weeks, and we had to evacuate 2 different times. Nobody in the property management firm, nobody in the neighborhoods knew the first thing. They didn't even know what evacuation zone they were in. So that was the lesson learned. And I live in a place that's loaded with Airbnbs and pet-friendly hotels and motels and horse camping facilities. And so we created a short packet that's full of checklists that take you through everything you need to think about. And if you leave your animals at home with a sitter, if you are really well prepared, you are signed up for emergency alerts, you know your evacuation zone, but your animal sitter is not, your animals are out of luck. So think about those things, and if the shoe fits, we have it for you. So next. Stay informed. I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but just in case some of you are new to this, it's really important that you sign up for all local alerts. And at the end of this presentation, we'll have a slide that gives you information about where to go, just in case you don't know how to get Santa Clara County Alert or Los Altos. Sign up for Mitchell in the town of Los Altos, and a couple of other things. So sign up for all local alerts, get a weather radio, learn how to use it. Follow the National Weather Service. I'm a weather geek and I love following the weather, and it has really served me well. Watch and listen to local news, radio, and TV. We've got great meteorologists here in the Bay Area, and they're pretty fun and interesting to watch, and they give us great information now. There are also some apps that are good to have. You don't want to rely on apps. You want to rely mostly on your official agency information, but apps can be really helpful. The earthquake apps, again, NOAA weather apps. And launch duty is increasingly useful, but again, you don't want to rely on it as your only source of information. Follow your local emergency services on social media and take a look at their websites. And think about starting a neighborhood radio group. We've got lots of hand groups all over the place, and most of our counties are starting to get behind family radios and CMRS radio services that just ordinary people like me can utilize to help us be in better communication with people immediately around us. So get informed, stay informed. Really important piece of information to take, hold, and share. Next. Ooh, we've got a ways to go. I'm only on slide number 14. Only about another 30 to go. I'm going to have to stick on it. Next slide. There we go. How to know whether to prep or go? Simple, by paying attention to your local weather alerts. You are going to prep during a weather watch. You're going to go during a weather warning. Do not wait to evacuate. We know this is a really hard one, but if you have large animals, if you have cats, if you have a bad knee, a bad hip, if you have a broken ankle because you tripped taking out the garbage, whatever, there are things that are going to slow you down, and you need to take that into consideration. So early evacuation is something we talk about a lot. We know that people are often not going to do it, but it's really important. Let's move on and we'll talk a little more about that. So again, when to go. Why do we repeat this so often? Because it's probably the single most important piece of information we can share. So you go anytime you don't feel safe, for whatever reason. You leave. You get ready when we're in a weather watch, as we said before, and you can get that information by watching TV, listening to the radio, following the National Weather Service, listening to your weather radio, hanging out with the firefighters, all of the above. You get set and or go when that weather watch rolls over into a weather warning. You go now if there's a red flag, especially if you have equines or other large animals, or a flood warning or any other severe weather warning. And again, we just came through 2 days where nature gave us a bird's eye view of what this can look like. These warnings can change fast. They can roll into an evac warning, can roll into an evac order with little or no advance notice. We can get an evacuation order without an evacuation warning. In any of those circumstances, you don't want to be racing around, stressed out, trying to get your animals ready, trying to get everything loaded, and then dealing with the conditions. So much better to evacuate you and your animals when you can do it calmly, without stress. The worst case scenario, you and your animals have a couple of days with friends or at the beach or doing some other really nice, relaxing thing, and you've avoided all the stress and potentially worse of waiting to evacuate. So let's move on. sorry for the delay, folks. I think maybe it's because we have a three-way here. So what are the dangers of waiting? Well, that freeway parking lot we were seeing there, that's not a joke. That's not Los Angeles during rush hour. I think that is 101 between Windsor and Sonoma County and Petaluma or Marin County in 2019, the Kincaid fire. So the dangers of waiting are these, and evac warning can change really quickly. Evac, as I just said, a warning can turn into an order, or you can get an order without a preliminary warning. Conditions could be stressful, they're going to be dangerous. You could be loading and driving in really, really bad conditions. Severe traffic is like the least of your worries, but it's huge. You could be low on power for your EV. You may start running low on fuel. You're going to be stuck in traffic for a long time. Your animals may get really, really hot. I mean, just all kinds of things. You don't want to be in that situation. Evacuation may not be possible if you wait too long. And that's probably the single biggest danger. Next. Nowhere to go. Not going to spend much time on this other than to say you need to have a list. Again, have way more than one option. Know where the Airbnbs are that will take the kinds of animals that you have. Know where the campgrounds are. And if you have no other options, pay attention to the information posted in the emergency alerts about where the evacuation shelters or the temporary evacuation points are. The goal is to keep people and animals out of crowded shelters. However, an emergency shelter or a temporary evacuation point can be a good rally point. It can be a really good temporary rest spot, a place to get information and then move on. If you must put your animal or yourself or both of you into an emergency shelter, make sure you have got lots and lots of the right supplies with you. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you do have a good list of options, for instance, at Friendly Airbnbs, confirm and make your reservation early. And just assume you can just drive in and show up. You can call 211. A lot of people in our communities don't know about 211 and all the things that it can help out with, but 211 may have information about places to go. Another good tip about call 211 is that they generally offer interpreters for just about any language that people in our California communities speak. So keep in mind that emergency shelters or animals may not be activated until the emergency is declared. And that can be true for people as well. But don't assume that your local fairgrounds is going to be open just because something has happened in your area. Next slide. If your pets aren't cooperating. So as I said in the beginning, I have cats, I have a mule. Now my mule is totally on board, and in 2017, so are my cats. I have different feline members in my family now, and I have totally different plans A, B, and C for the cats that I share my life with now. So your animal may not cooperate no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you practice, which is another reason you need to have a backup plan for that. So steps you can take if you can't evacuate your animal. For pets inside your home, make sure you leave an escape route, but be sure to close the windows and doors, but leave windows unlocked. Leave a key somewhere. Leave a carrier and a leash where responders can find it. We just said, I get ahead of myself. We said to close the doors and the windows. Okay, covered that, sorry. As soon as you can get yourself to safety, you need to call animal services and request assistance. You report the animals left at home. Do not rely on a local Facebook group saying, hey, we can go rescue your animals. You want to play this by the books. Go through the official channels only. So next. At the end of this presentation, we're going to show you a slide with the numbers for your jurisdiction on it. Service animals, really quick note. Again, if you're a CERT, you probably know this. So a service animal is a dog or a mini equine who is trained to perform tasks that accommodate a disability. No one else. It doesn't matter how cute your dog looks or your pig or whatever in his little jacket that you got on Amazon that says service animal. If that animal is not trained to perform specific tasks that accommodate a disability, it's not a service animal. Why is this important? Because service animals are accepted at every shelter location, every hotel, motel, Airbnb. They cannot be excluded. In most disaster scenarios, the restrictions that properties have on accepting pets are usually relaxed, but not always. So don't try to sneak your animal in as a service animal if it's not. Know where you can go and where you can't. Next slide. One other important note is about muzzles. And here we go, cute picture. So if your dog is not in a carrier and you are at a shelter that is cohabitated, meaning pets and people are in the same building, or if you and your dog are on public transportation, like paratransit, perhaps you're being, or you know someone who might be evacuated from an assisted living facility, it's very possible that the dog will be required to have a muzzle in that shelter or on that bus or paratransit van. It's a really good idea to experiment with different kinds of muzzles, with putting them on, make that part of your red flag routine or your weather watch routine, and make it fun for your dog so it doesn't think he's being punished when he gets the muzzle. Next slide. Lots of resources available, again, at halterproject.org for things to put in your ready kits and your stay crate. So this big QR code will take you straight to the place on our website where you can find ready kit and long stay supply lists for just about every species of animal that people keep as companions. And so we've shown you thumbnails of just a few of those, but if you've got it, we've got a checklist for it. So I'm just going to ask you to get the workbooks, go to our website, look for the information for the animals that you have, and you'll get handy dandy checklists that give you everything you need to know and include in your emergency supply kits. Next. Hello, there we go. How much do you need? This part is important. Back in the day, Red Cross always told us to have 3 to 5 days worth of emergency supplies for ourselves and our animals. That's really changed. The minimum is at least 5 to 7 days, and we really like to advocate for 14 days. And that's for go. That's for evacuating. Your long stay, your stay at home supplies, the sheltering in place, really should have at least 30 days of essentials in them. Plus, you need to add, whether it's for go or stay, you need to add an extra month's dose of parasite control for each animal, like flea and tick protection, your dewormer. And also, if you have critters who are on special diet, make sure you've got extra. We just came through a couple of years of terrible supply chain issues. During a number of these fires, vets have not been able to get parasite control. We haven't been able to get our Chewy orders, if that's where you get your prescription diet. So just make sure you have enough of everything you need to keep your animals and you healthy and happy. Next. A little note there, while we have this delay about buying in bulk. So part of your buddy network in your neighborhood group and include making a buying group. Go to Costco and buy cat litter together. Find people whose dog likes the same kind of food as yours, and then divvy it up in big Ziploc bags. And then figure out who's got the best storage place for different things. So you don't need to have 15 people on a block or in a community all buying a lot of the same stuff. Try to make a buying group, and that way you'll have people who have what you need if you run out. Kind of like that cup of sugar, and you won't spend a fortune or dedicate a third of your garage to store it. Water. First, water is the single most important thing we all need. You know how much water your animal family needs? Well, again, this information is in our workbooks, especially this info. It's of farm animals and livestock in our barn and ranch preparedness workbook. But critters take a lot of water. And so if you add us into the mix and you also add sanitation and hygiene, you need a lot of water. Next. ID, again, this is something that's really easy to find out. Microchipping is the gold standard. Yes, we can with the equines, goats, and all other, many other kinds of animals. If you have adopted dogs or cats, and I thank you profusely if you have, make sure that the microchip registration is up to date. So just keep everything updated. As I said earlier, make sure that all the information in your emergency action plan is current. If you are preparing to evacuate or animals are sheltering in place, you also need to add physical ID. Gonna help with reunification. Sure. You should also put ID on their crates and carriers. Included in your emergency contact or your emergency action plan should be photos and descriptions of your animals and photos of you with your animals and videos with some vocalizations and images of your animal's special traits. So I always have black cats. You may have gray tabbies. I've had those too. At some point, they all start looking alike. But we know our animals don't sound alike, or they may have a little wiggle or a tail wag. So those photos, those videos, those pictures of you with your animals can be incredibly useful if you get separated. Next. And I am checking my time here. I'm a little behind, but not too bad. Hopefully you'll all stay with us. Practice, practice, practice. Make a weather watch routine. Practice it with others. Practice it with your animals. Do it regularly. Make it a regular thing. Okay, enough said. Those are my cats. Not my mini horse. Your pet weather watch routine. We have a lot of space on this slide. I hope you'll all take a moment to read these bullet points with me. So your weather watch routine, what does that look like? And this, people, is what helped us on October 8th, 2017, do what we did so quickly. We had followed all these steps. I had all my animals confined by late afternoon or early evening. The cats were in the house. When it really got bad and I knew there was a fire, I dumped one of the cats in the basement laundry room, which I knew was his happy place. So they could not escape while we were running in and out of the house, loading the cars. And he was very happy. He was asleep when I went to get him. My barn cat, Zach, was already in his carrier. And our equines were all in small pens where we could catch them quickly and easily. These are lifesavers. I cannot stress this information enough. Make sure everybody's got collars, harnesses with ID on them, your go kits and crates. All of your equipment and your supplies are prepped and loaded. Your vehicles are inspected. You've done this during your weather watch. They are fueled. They're stayed facing out. Your car is out of the garage. Your garage door is disabled. If you don't want to keep your car out of the garage, you're going to check in and update your arrangements with your pet-friendly, animal-friendly destinations. You're going to do a quick practice with the neighbors and their pets. That's a really good time to do it. And if possible, Go for walks with your dogs, maybe even your cats, and play with them early in the day if you think you might have to evacuate, so that they're calm, they're ready to take a nap, and they're feeling relaxed. Super important information. Picture of it, you'll get all this in the workbook, put it into practice, and then do it again. Next. We're more than halfway through. So earthquake safety awareness. Yeah, this is fire safe, but we live in earthquake country. And I am a big believer in an all hazards safety approach. So, that's not a message for me. One of the joys of being on an iPad is getting text messages about the fire. So earthquake safety awareness. If you have pets, do not try to hold your pet on your lap while things are shaking. You will become a casualty. Chances are your pet will have gone and hid somewhere moments before the shaking starts. They know these things. That actually happened to me in 2013 during the Napa fire. 3:15 in the morning, my little tripod kitty jumped up, launched right off my chest onto the floor, and moments later, the shaking started. But she woke me up. She knew it was going to happen before I did. Afterward, most important thing is to try to sweep up the floor of any sharp or broken stuff and wipe up or cover spills to keep both you and your pets safe. As soon as you can do it safely, try to confine your pet, calm them down, give them some food, some treats, put them in an interior room, get them into a carrier or get them on a leash and a harness so that you have them with you. If you're heading out of doors because you don't feel safe indoors, have your head on a swivel. So you who are certs, you know this, that you really need to have your best situational awareness game on. There could be all kinds of hazards out there. These are really critical things to share with neighbors, relatives, people around you who may not be as aware as you are. Your barns and your outbuildings may be unstable, and the ground around you may be unstable. So again, if you fear that you have animals trapped in a barn, you need to be really, really careful about how you approach that. If you can get to an exterior door and open it without going inside, that's going to be your best and your safest bet. Because remember, if you go inside and you encounter something really dangerous to you, or your horse is panicked and it runs out on top of you, you're not going to be able to take care of them, and now you're injured. So situational awareness during and after an earthquake. And next, the next big exciting thing is our next slide. So tsunamis, flash flood, debris flows, they can go together, not necessarily. And you guys in Los Altos Hills, you don't have to worry about a tsunami, but other people in Santa Clara County might. And I think that we might have some people from San Mateo County listening in. Flash floods are certainly a challenge or something to consider where you live, as are debris flows, and debris flows are going to be a hazard after a fire. So take these alerts and forecasts seriously, know what the alerts and these icons mean, and pay attention to what our emergency services are telling us to do. Never, ever leave animals tied up, chained up, or locked inside. So if you have time and you can't get to your animals, just make sure they have an escape route to give them the best possible chance in the incident. Next. Okay, Fire Safe and Firewise favorite slide. We actually created this for California Fire Safe Council. And it is our take on tall fires, ready, set, go, defensible space graphic. If you look closely, you'll see that we built all kinds of features into this, like critters and an arena and a barn and a narrow driveway with a tight turn. We want to make sure that wildland rig can get in there. Basically, if your home is safe, your animals are going to be safe. Defensible homes mean safer animals. Can't say it any more clearly than that. And this is the information that really comes in handy. You have those homeowners who have a lot of animals. They're kind of dragging their heels on fuel mitigation and risk reduction. But if you have to talk with them about how these risks are imperiling their animals, sometimes that can be the cancer. It can seal the deal and help them understand the importance of improving the defensibility of their property, not just for their neighbors, but for themselves and their animals. Okay, next. Oh, repeat. Help responders, help your animals immune. So this is standard defensibility stuff. Maintain access for emergency vehicles, which could include animal evacuation teams. Make sure that you've got those highly visible, reflective, two-sided address signs. I think your community requires that. If you're in Los Altos Hills, unlock the gates and disable all the electric openers so that responders can get in. Nobody's going to be locked outside. Provide detailed site maps. We're going to show you an example of that in a moment. Provide a detailed site map to your local fire department and the animal disaster response team, showing them where not only the animals are on your property and the resources like water, things like that, but also the hazards. And that is our very next slide. Amazing. Coming, open. There we go. So again, in our barn and net safety packet, we actually show you this. This is actually my ranch. And we're going to update this. We realized when we were preparing this presentation that we don't have electric vehicles on this legend. So it tells you we did this a number of years ago. So electric vehicles can be a blessing. They can also be a big hazard to our firefighters and other first responders. So it's really important that they know where those are. And this will really help responders know where the animals are. Really good example of this right now up in northeastern or north central Sonoma County. Many of you probably know the Point Fire erupted yesterday. Very, very quickly. It is a very horsey, rancy area. Also, a lot of people with second homes, vacation homes, and just lots and lots of animals. They are heavily engaging air operations, so airdrops of water and retardant, including night ops. Responders do not want to be dropping fire retardant or water on animals, but they have got to know where those animals are. Knowing where the animals are may slow down or it may even hinder response to a certain area, but they want to know that. And knowing that those types of operations are possible or planned should be a really strong incentive to move animals out of airports. Next, we're edging into equine territory here. So next slide. What do you do for those animals who can't take with you? So the good news is in many of our counties, including Santa Clara County and the town of Los Altos Hills, there are resources. Those are animal welfare agencies and volunteer animal disaster response teams. Before an evacuation order is issued, you can call on your safety net. Okay, anybody in your contacts can get in before there is an evacuation order. Sometimes an evacuation warning will trigger restrictions and access. Once that happens, and definitely after an evacuation order is issued, then only authorized responders are going to be able to get in. So that means that if you do have animals who are trapped inside an evacuation zone, you are going to need to, again, get yourself to safety and then call the animal services hotline. And we're going to give you a slide that has that information, but keep in mind that emergency services may put up an additional hotline or a backup line or a different number. So it's important to keep the numbers handy with all of your emergency contacts, but also pay attention, pay close attention to emergency alerts. Next. Okay, so if you do not have equines or backyard livestock, now is your chance to run to the little girls and little boys room. You'll want to come back before the end because we're going to show you some important slides with lots of resources. If you do have big critters, here we go. So many of the things that we do for pets, we're going to do for our equines and livestock. But this concept of the weather watch routine and early evacuation is even more important because these animals are not always going to be on board. They are unpredictable. Everything takes time. And there is a really serious checklist that you need to consider and a serious routine. We would, in our fantasy world, would love to see every equine owner participate in. And we would love to see this information shared with every equestrian group, every barn and boarding stable facility, everyone who shows for success. Help us get this information out to your community. So practice your routine regularly in all kinds of conditions. So that means daytime, nighttime, wearing your headlamp in red mode so you don't blind your animals. That also applies to pets. In wind, in rain, in fog. So yeah, everybody will probably load just fine for you on a perfect day, but will they load for somebody else? Or will they load in the middle of the night with the wind blowing 60 miles an hour or pounding rain? We need to make it easy for them to be trusting in you that they're going to be okay. Prep your property because you may end up sheltering in place. Even if you are evacuating and evacuating early, you want a home to come back to. Practice with the helpers. We talked about that. Confine your animals where you can catch them quickly. We talked about that. Practice loading, and your truck and trailer are prepped, checked, and ready to go. And there is our fire weather dial there to remind us that it's almost 8 o'clock. We're coming out of a red flag up here. We can breathe. Next slide. Am I doing Victoria? Am I okay? Can we keep going?
Yep, keep on going.
Awesome. Keep on tracking. Okay, so evacuation planning is really about practicing and assessing the risks. Risk assessment for your animal emergency action plans is a key part of coming up with a good plan, which include both evacuation and shelter in place. So evacuation, be realistic. Can your old or lame animals be loaded? Can they travel safely to where you're going? How long will it take you to load? How many rigs and how many helpers are you going to need to get everyone loaded? Do you have a plan for your sick animals if somebody has an infection? All important things to consider. You need to have action plans written down and share them with all the people who take care of your animals so everybody is on the same page, literally. Next. So evac prep to load and go. Again, some of these things we've already covered. We keep our animals close so we can touch them and load them quickly. Our supplies are all set to go. Our rigs are set to go. Our trailer is prepped, and prepped means it's clean. There is no bedding, meaning no flammable material in it. And before you take off, the windows are closed. And when you're loading your rigs, remember your PPE, your personal protective equipment. Make sure you've got a bag or a trunk or duffel. All that stuff is in it. And I will tell you the thing that I almost didn't have in 2017, but was so glad that I put my hands on were goggles, because when I wear contact lenses and that wind and the debris and the burning stuff were lethal. So make sure you have got good PPE and you can get your hands on it fast. Next. Large animal evac prep. Are your animals ready? Okay. So, are they ready to load? Will they load? Are your helpers ready and standing by? You have ID, visible ID on everyone. You have good halters, good lead ropes for every single animal, plus extras. Good checklist. Next. Coming into the home stretch here. How safe is your property? Again, this is fire safe and firewise. So I think you're all pretty much on top of this, but just in case, is your infrastructure all hazards safe? That was something we learned in 2017. We thought we were really well prepared until several hundred trees came down on our ranch, including two that took out not only our pump, but our emergency generator. That tree that you see in the photo, that was just one of many trees that fell on the driveway separating our barn and our refuge area from the safe place at the other end of our ranch where all of our tractors, chainsaws, and other kinds of equipment were stored. So we had to hike a very long way through our vineyard and along a very hazardous stretch of road to get to our equipment. The lessons learned there, make sure that you've got equipment stored, critical equipment stored in multiple places that you are going to be able to get to. And hazard trees are a real thing, not only after big windstorms and lots of rain, but during and after fires. Probably the biggest challenge that we faced after the fire itself. So will your property be accessible after a fire and earthquake so responders can get in? Is your water secure? If your water source is power dependent, do you have a rock solid power backup supply? Are your water tanks secure? Something that towns are thinking about a great deal in terms of earthquake security. If your water source is a gravity flow and it's up on, wood support, wood framework, that could be a problem. Can responders find you and get into your property? How many times in trainings do firefighters tell us if we can't find you, if we can't get into you, we can't help you, we can't help your property? So make sure that you're checking off all the items on that ready, set, go, fire safe, firewise home checklist. Next. If we were together, we could be chatting during this delay. Your animal refuge area, again, we are not advocating shelter in place during a fire, but sometimes it's unavoidable. And again, there may be some types of incidents where we have no option. So this is really fire focused, but if it's safe for fire, it'll be safe for all kinds of other incidents as well. Is it defensive? Do you have an irrigated or very dry, very clean area to turn your animals out into? How far from radiant heat is that area? This is a big one. You could have the cleanest arena in the world, but if it is only 50, 75 feet away from a lot of brush or timber, your animals are going to risk serious radiant heat exposure, and that is serious. Are your animals going to be safe from areas that could provide a lot of dangerous firebrands or ember casts? Are your fences secure in fire or flood or debris flow? And will your animals be turned out away from busy roads in case your fences fail? So these are, we believe, the most important items to take a look at and assess. Next. Can you guys hear my cat begging to be let in? Hey, Oreo. Okay. We talked a few minutes ago about the risks from the actual firefighting operations, and airdrops are a real serious risk. Nobody wants to be dropping onto animals. Sometimes it's unavoidable. And the takeaway here is that you have got to provide good information about your property and who and what is on it to local fire departments. If your animals are sheltering in place, you need to find a way through animal services, your local animal response team, to be in communication with incident command so everybody knows where those animals are. If animals may be running loose on a road, it's also critical that responders are aware of that. Sadly, many accidents happen during fires, during floods, during storms, involving loose running equines and or cattle or other livestock and emergency response vehicles. So we really want to do everything we can to avoid these types of tragic incidents. Your animals may be exposed to a lot of different types of hazards, including ember casts, smoke, heat, and toxins in the environment. So all of the things that can be harmful to you are going to impact your animals who are sheltered in place. Next. It's about at the end here. So how to prepare your site. We've pretty much gone over these, and most everything on this list is exactly what we asked people to do to create a fire prepared home. And that is remove all the stuff around your home and your animal areas. But that stuff safe. So we know we need to keep the area around our house clean and green and clear and defensible, but that's got to apply to our barns and our outbuildings and all those comfy old recliners and sofas that end up around the barn. That's stuff, and it's really dangerous. So if you're preparing for shelter in place, you want to increase the humidity, you want to create a mud wallow, wet down the area, and make sure that all the flammable hay, bedding, and other stuff that's stored around the animal areas is moved at least 30 feet, preferably more, away from where the animals are. Next. Hello. Animal prep for shelter in place. So this is, we just talked about what to do for your site. Now we're going to talk about what to do for the animals. So again, add visible ID, remove their fly masks, their leg wraps, their fly seats or blankets, and make sure that you turn the animals out, but not loose, meaning they're not going to get out on the road. Close the gates, but do not lock them. Shut the doors to the barns and sheds so that the animals can't run back inside. I like to braid their manes and keep their tails from dragging on the ground. Just a good safety precaution. And if you have time, check for loose shoes that could cause an injury. Good checklist. Next. That's our animal prep. We talked about our site prep. So I hope that all of our pet parents are still with us. This is the slide that I was telling you about. This information will be available to everybody watching and listening to this presentation. This slide, that yellow box at the bottom, gives you the emergency numbers for the animal response resources in your area in Santa Clara County and the town of Los Altos Hills. In a disaster, you need to request assistance for animals by calling animal services. So in most cases, that's going to mean Santa Clara County Animal Services. But again, keep in mind that the agencies may stand up an additional hotline number. They may have another organization or agency assisting. So pay attention to the information that's being posted and provided and delivered through emergency alerts, to keep these numbers with all of your other emergency information. When you call to request animal services, do calm. Be prepared. Take 3, 4, 5 deep breaths so that you can give clear, precise information to the operator. Let the operator ask you questions and be ready to answer. Okay? Being calm is going to help you, going to help your animals, and it's definitely going to help the person on the other end. So next. And we're really at the end here. I'm so appreciative that you've all stayed with us. So here, once again, as promised, there is that QR code that takes you to firesafe animals at halterproject.org. We'd also love to have you subscribe to our mail list, where you will be treated to sort of sporadic, meaning whenever Shiloh and I have time to produce them, newsletters and also equine safety and preparedness bulletins with important and really helpful seasonal information, interesting stories, profiles of some of our wonderful responders, just all kinds of great information. So again, we're halterproject.org. There is no cost for any of the services and resources we provide, and we hope you'll take advantage of them. And now I think that our hosts have a couple of slides to share with you. I think. Oh, we have one more. So other resources, it's not just about us. So you can take screenshots here. These are all great places to check out for information. The one I would really like to most invite you to visit is the one at the top. And that's the California Veterinary Emergency Team based at UC Davis. That is our statewide network of animal disaster resources, providing veterinary assistance and standardized training and standards for care of all species of companion animals when they are impacted by disasters. So just a ton of great information. If you're interested in becoming an animal disaster responder with the CVET team, you can also get the information there at their website. And check out some of the others. We've also included your local animal disaster response resources. You're really lucky. You have great ones then. And, oh, excuse me. And next, I think we have our Santa Clara County and Los Hills info. Yes. Love that Los Altos Hills Fire District emblem. It's so beautiful. Oh, and colorful QR codes. This is very cool. So you people are really lucky. You've got great, great resources in your community. I want to thank them again for inviting us to share our evening with you, and thank you for sticking with us for so long. And I hope that you will get in touch with us, ask us for information, and share it with all of the people who have animals in your community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And our last little note of inspiration and advice here is to keep calm. Be the calm leader of your pack, your herd, your flock, your neighborhood, and your family. And outcomes, again, seem to be better.